Hey guys, Candace with Good in My Soul here. I wanted to talk to you guys today a little bit about social media and branding yourself as a multi-passionate, or branding yourself in general, really. So, I get this question pretty often, and people say, I really want to participate in social media, but I'm extremely overwhelmed by it. There are so many things to do, and I feel like there is no way I can do everything. So, I don't know what to do. Because of that, the fear kind of paralyzes them, and they instead turn and do nothing. So what I want to talk to you guys about today is exactly the social media that I use, and exactly what I think are the best audiences for each platform. Completely up to interpretation. You may absolutely disagree with me. That's perfectly fine. I'm telling you this from my perspective and people that I've talked with and worked with. And there seems to be a pretty strong agreement with these things. And hopefully this will help you determine what social media may or may not be a good option for you. Before I start, I do want to say, if there's something that you've been thinking about trying and you haven't for whatever reason, feel free to dive in and try it. I mean, it can't hurt. You might find out that you absolutely love it. Don't be closed to things. But I'm also not a big believer in doing every social media out there, because every social media isn't going to be right for you, and it's not going to be right for your audience. So keep that in mind too. Generally, if you're trying to find your right people, your audience, they're probably a whole lot like you, to be completely honest. So if you hate Twitter, they probably also hate Twitter. Just something putting out there, just thinking about it. So the social media I'm going to go over today are Google+, Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm not going to talk about anything else outside of that, because I don't use those things, or at least I don't use them with any level of frequency, and I don't want to sit here and talk about something that I've got either zero or next to zero experience with. So, starting out, let's talk about Pinterest. I've talked before about how I really enjoy Pinterest. I'm an artist, I'm a visual person, I'm a visual learner, so it kind of makes sense that Pinterest would really work out for me. I think that Pinterest while it has obviously exploded and has a pretty good following already, I don't think it's even begun to tap in to what it can be and what it can be used for. There are a lot of creative things you can do with Pinterest. It doesn't just have to be about pinning recipes and things like that. Art obviously does pretty well because it's a visual thing, but you can make infographics for your stuff. You can connect a picture that's connected to your blog or your website and connect that back. There are a lot of great ways to use Pinterest, and I will put a link below, but I actually created a course on how to harness the power of Pinterest for yourself and really expand your brand that way. I'll put a link below. I don't want to drone on if you want to check that out. So next, I'm going to talk about Instagram. Everybody uses this a little bit differently. I use Instagram mainly to connect parts of my personal life and share that with you guys. So I've got my Instagram connected to my Twitter and my Facebook accounts. And that's, like I said, that's just how I use it. People are going to use it different ways and do different things with it. If you're someone that you coach, maybe you do big events and things like that, I know people in that position will often tweet out, or I should say Instagram and then tweet out pictures for things like that. It's really however you're going to use the tools available to you, right? Everybody's going to use this stuff differently. People on Instagram, in my opinion, are usually people who, again, are visually inspired. Obviously, it's very photocentric. That's the entire point of the thing. You may have some text or a caption below something, but let's be honest, how often do people actually read that? So I would say a lot of the people on Instagram are people that probably also really are into Pinterest. So keep that in mind in your marketing efforts. Facebook is something that I've been on, not nearly as long as a lot of people, honestly, but I use it more to make personal connections. I don't update as frequently to Facebook as I do to something like Twitter, because it's a different venue and it's a whole different feel. I find that the people on Facebook are looking to do a little bit more reading, maybe, and a little bit more in-depth connection, learn a little bit more about you than maybe the people on Pinterest are. Facebook also allows you to share a little bit more information. Obviously, on something like Twitter, you've got like 140 or 160 characters to work in, and some things you can do no justice in that amount of characters. There's just no point in posting it in my opinion. So keep that in mind. You want to do the best you can to work within the platforms, but some things just work better on other platforms than others. Moving on to Twitter, actually. So I've been on Twitter for several years. I have been really active, then not as active, really active, then not as active. It's not my absolute favorite venue. I feel like with that 140 characters, I do understand why they limit it to that. I understand their purpose and their point, so I'm not trying to harp on that in any way. But I feel like it can kind of constrain you a little bit sometimes, and making those really deep connections hard. Because for me personally, I would rather make really deep connections than make like thousands and thousands of surface connections. Beyond that, I would say that in my experience, the audience on Twitter are often people who are using Twitter for business and or people that tend to be, we'll say 40 or younger. So, you got to look at who your target market is and things like that as well. The last thing I want to talk about is Google+. And I really shunned Google+ for a long time. I'm not going to lie about that or try to hide that. I was like, oh, I don't need this. This is stupid. This is just another Facebook, whatever. And it's really not. Google+ has some very basic differences from Facebook. It's a little bit easier to share. It's easier to communicate with people and communicate in a targeted way. This can be really useful if you are a multi-passionate, because you're going to have people that are interested probably in different segments of what you do. The same people may not be interested in every single thing that you do. So being able to sort those into different circles is really, really helpful, and make sure that you're not spamming somebody with a ton of stuff when they really only want the links to recipes, let's say. So that's very useful. I really enjoy Google+. I like the communities on there. People seem very open to sharing, open to making new connections and things like that. So that's something to check out and look into. So like I said, that's my view on things. I talked about Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, Google+, Facebook. I didn't talk about any other social media. There's probably a plethora of things out there you could look into that I didn't speak about. But again, I don't want to talk about something that I know nothing of. I would recommend, if you haven't at least looked at the intro page, the home page of these things, and figured a little bit about what they were, it might be good to just have the experience. But if there are certain things that you're like, I absolutely hate that, there's no way I'm doing that, that is completely fine. That's awesome. The one thing I would caution people about as far as like how to choose what social media you do and how often to use it, do what's going to be authentic to you. Do what you enjoy doing, because it's really obvious, especially this day and age, it's really, really obvious when people love doing something and when they hate doing something. If something's really not singing to you and there's something that you really, really don't want to do, don't do it. A lot of people say if you have a lot of resistance to something, that means you're going to have a breakthrough, and I do believe that there are certain circumstances where that's a true statement. In this case, however, if you have a ton of resistance to some specific something or another, again, rely on your intuition. Your intuition might be telling you that's not right for you. So hopefully you've been able to use this information, and it's helped you to figure out, what areas you might want to focus on. If you know your target audience, maybe where your target audience is more likely to be. Again, everyone has a different perspective on this kind of thing. I'm just sharing my personal experiences with you and experiences of some of the people I've talked to and a lot of people that I have worked with. So have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
If you haven't already, head over to the website and sign up for my mailing list, and that way I can give you your free training on how to create your soul-centered business. I'm Candace Jai with Good in My Soul. Thanks, and have a great day.